Hey guys, so what we're going to work on today, so what we're going to do is you guys are going to work on this packet. Our end goal is that by Friday, next Friday, you guys would be able to do very well at doing all operations for rational functions. Okay, the rules for the exponents are here. This is something that you want to go back to over and over. If you have a number raised to the 0 power, you're always going to get 1. Okay, this is rule number 1. Rule number 2, if you have a to the power of 1, you just get the same number again. So for example, if I had 5 to the power of 1, what would be your output? 5, yeah, you just get the same output back. Rule number 3, if you have a to the negative n, we never want negative exponents, so you want to get rid of it by bringing it down to the bottom. So for example, if I told you 4 to the negative x, what would that turn into? 1 over 4 to the power of x. Okay, you want to get rid of your negative exponents. Rule number 4, if you have n in the exponent and it's positive and you bring it to the bottom, it turns into negative. So if you have a negative exponent and you want to make it positive, then you're going to draw your arrow to the top. Rule number 5, if you have 2 exponents here and you're adding them together, it's the same thing as multiplying them. It's very similar to the log rules that we learned. Remember, when you're adding logs, you actually multiply them. So if I give you a to the power of 7 times a to the power of 3, you're going to add your exponents and get a to the power of 10. Rule number 6, if you have exponents that are being subtracted, it's the same thing as dividing them. If you have a to the power of 6 divided by a to the power of 2, you subtract the exponents and get 4. So what would x to the power of 4 divided by x to the power of 2 equal to? X to the power of 2. Okay, you guys understand that? Okay, rule number 7. I really don't have space to write 7, but when you have an exponent on the outside, you just distribute it to the inside. Here you had 5 on the outside, you distribute it to the inside, so you get x to the power of 15. Next one, you still have a power on the outside, but you need to distribute to each of the terms. So that's why you get a to the power of np and c to the power of np. 7, 8, and then rule number 9. If you have a power on the outside, but you are dividing, you still have to distribute it to the numerator and the denominator. Okay, this is a really quick recap of the rules, the exponent rules that we're going to be using today. Can you guys flip? Do you have any questions on this? Okay, flip to the back side of the front page. The back page looks like this: simplifying rational expressions. This is going to be a quiz. So put quiz number 1. And then on the other side, quiz number 2. Okay, so you will have quiz number 1 on Friday, and you will have the following quiz next week. So our goal is that by the time we finish these quizzes, you would be able to take the test. Okay? All right, let's go to the other page, Rational Expressions Worksheet number 1. This is your packet for the rest of the week and the rest of next week. Okay, so simplifying rational expressions. Go ahead and put the date up at the top. Today's date is 11, thank you, 4/11/2016. Make sure you put your name and then of course your class period. Okay, we're going to go through some of these examples. I'm going to give you 5 examples and then you're going to be able to do this. So go ahead and put homework. Our goal is to finish the homework in class. Whatever you don't finish in class, you'll have to do for homework. Okay? Homework 1 through 9, we're going to do 5 examples in your notebook. Okay, so we're going to take notes on rational expression worksheet number 1. We're going to learn how to simplify. The video that you're supposed to watch over the weekend shows you how to get the greatest common factor and how to factor. Okay, so we're going to combine all this together. One of the things that you need to learn is how to simplify rational expressions. This part is easy. The only thing you need to know are the rules for the exponents, which is that first page, and the greatest common factor, which you already started learning about. Thank you for giving me your attention. Okay, the first thing you're going to do is we're going to do 5 examples. The first example is if I give you 18 over 20, think about how you could reduce that fraction. Okay, good. Divided by 2. Could I divide it by a larger number? Not 4. Or another number, because 4 doesn't go into 18 evenly. 5? 4? Okay, so you guys are like, I don't know. So let's do the greatest common factor. What are the factors of 18? 1. Good. 1, 2. What else? 3. What do I multiply 3 by to get 18? 6. Okay, so there's 3 times 6 gives me 18. 2 times what gives me 18? 9. And then 1 times what gives me 18? 18. Those are the factors of 18. 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 18. Now let's list the factors of 20. 1, 2, 4, good. 5. Notice how I went 1, 2, 4, 5. Once they're next to each other, then I start looking at 10. And 2 times 10 and 1 times 20. Good. Those are the factors of 18 and 20. Which one is the greatest common factor between the both? 2? Yeah. All right. Okay, so it's going to be 2. So we're going to divide the top and the bottom by 2. What's 18 divided by 2? 9. And 20 divided by 2? 10. Could I reduce that fraction more? That's it. Okay, so I have reduced my fraction to the lowest term. Okay, next example, number 2. If I give you x to the power of 4 divided by x to the power of 2, would I use the greatest common factor or the rules for exponents? The rules for exponents, okay? And if you look at the rules for exponents, what does it say? Okay, so take out your sheet, take out your packet, look at the rules of exponents. What are we doing in this case with our exponents? We're dividing, so what rule is that? Rule number 6. Good. When you divide exponents, what are you really doing to them? Subtracting them. So I'm going to subtract x to the power of 4 minus 2. What do you get? Yeah, x squared. Okay, for those of you who need a visual, x to the power of 4 divided by x to the power of 2 is the same thing as having 4 x's in the numerator. This is like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 x's in the denominator. And you would just cancel out the common ones. Okay, 1, 2, and how many are you left with? 2. So this would be equal to x squared. Okay, questions? Okay, let's go to example 3. 5x to the power of 5. Just kidding. 5x to the power of 4 divided by 20x. Okay, can you simplify that? Okay, what would we need to do? Yeah, you're going to divide the top and the bottom by 5. Okay? So you have 5 over 20. You're going to have 4 x's on the top and 1 x on the bottom. You don't have to. Okay, this is just doing different learning styles. Okay, some of you are visual, you need to see it. Some of you guys are good with computation. You're like, I already know that's 3. Okay, I'm going to cancel my x's. How many x's am I left with? 3, so it'd be x to the power of 3. And then what happens with your 5 and your 20? Yeah, how many times, what am I dividing by? By 5. Okay, so I'm going to divide the top and the bottom by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. And then 20 divided by 5 is 4. So 1x cubed over 4. Are there any questions on that? Let's go to the next one. 3x to the power of 5 divided by 15x to the power of 3. Don't tell me, tell your partner, work it out with them. If you're watching the video, go ahead and pause this and think about it. Okay, class, the first thing you wanted to do was list the greatest common factor between 3 and 15. Okay, so the greatest common factor of 3, that one's easy. What is it? 1 and 3. Okay, or the factors of 3 are 1 and 3. What about 15? 1, 3, 5, and 15. What is the greatest common factor? The 3's. Okay, so that means you're going to divide the top and the bottom by 3. What's 3 divided by 3? 1. What is 15 divided by 3? 5. Good. And then what do we do with our x's? 3, 5. Okay, so you could do 5 on the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Divided by 3 on the bottom. 1, 2, 3, which are just left with 2. Or you could just subtract. You would have x to the power of 5 minus 3, which is just equal to 2. Okay? Good. Okay, any questions? Okay, next question. 20x to the power of 7 divided by 10x to the power of 10. Go ahead and reduce this fraction. The first thing that you needed to do was to list the greatest common factor between 20 and 10. What do I mean by factors? What does that mean? What numbers can I multiply it by? So 1 times 20 gives me 20. 2 times 10 gives me 20. And 4 times 5 gives me 20. Same thing for the 10. 1 times 10 gives me 10. 2 times 5 gives me 10. And that's it. What's the greatest common factor? 5. Just kidding. Okay, so 10. So I'm going to divide the top and the bottom by 10. Thank you. You guys are awesome. Okay, so 20 divided by 10 is 2. And 10 divided by 10 is 1. Now I'm going to cancel out my x's, which are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 x's. How many x's am I left with? 3. I'm left with 3. Okay. On the bottom, so it's going to be x to the power of 3. Okay. Now, if you did the algebra, you would have 2 over x to the power of 7 minus 10. What is 7 minus 10? Negative 3. Do I want a negative exponent? No, so I need to bring it to the bottom. So that's why I'm left with 2 over x to the power of 3. Okay, that's your rule of x. Okay, which is the same thing as what you got when you did it visually. Okay, last example, your turn. Okay, your next problem is 20x to the power of 7 divided by 10x to the power of 10. And you're thinking in your head, we already did that one, right? So I'm going to add another letter. Y to the power of 2 over y. Does that change anything? No. Not really, other than now I have to do the green part. Okay? What is y to the power of 2 divided by y? What am I left with? Okay, so now you have 2 y's in the top divided by 1 y at the bottom. They cancel, and how many y's are you left with? 1. So this, we already know, according to our previous column, that we have 2 over x cubed. And where do I put my y? In the numerator or the denominator? In the numerator. That will be your final answer. Okay, let's start on our homework. Homework 1 through 9. Your homework on your worksheet, worksheet number 1 is 1 through 9. It is due tomorrow, 4/12. Thank you. 4/12/2016.